Hey, welcome to part 5 of the Go-To Physio Hamstring Masterclass series. My name is Dave O'Sullivan. Now, in the previous 4 parts to the Hamstring Masterclass, we've talked a lot about how the previous injuries may influence the ability of that hamstring to do its job, or is there something not doing its job that's causing the hamstring to maybe do excessive loading? And that's something that we needed to assess clearly in the assessment, and then also make sure that we can restore the ability of all of these tissues to work together. The gastro, the hamstring, the quad, the co-contract, the knee joint, to give the glute max an opportunity to do active work. So as I said, so many times we see the inability to co-contract the knee joint, the knee snaps back, the quad does too much work, and all of a sudden the hip's just a passive extensor, okay? And again, I talked a lot about in the previous video the importance of not cueing your athletes to push through the heel when they do glute bridges or when they're coming up from squats, and the detrimental impact that that's having on the ability of the hamstrings to function as the hip extends. Now, in today's video, what I want to talk about is another joker in the pack, and that's something that a lot of athletes will have had prior to having a hamstring injury, and that's an ankle injury. So what we see a lot with hamstring injuries from our experience, and you need to double check it. Now, it's not going to be with every athlete, but you need to make sure that it's not your athlete that you're rehabbing, and that's the impact of all ankle injuries. So the big joker in the pack, as well as the adductor magnus, which we spoke about in previous episodes, is the peroneus tertius. So as that foot's coming through, okay, and we're coming to kind of terminal end swing phase, and that ankle's maybe giving a little bit of dorsiflexion and inversion, and again, the inversion is just going to tense and pre-tense that biceps fem a little bit. One of the tissues that need to lengthen is the peroneus tertius. Okay, so again, when we invert our ankle, peroneus tertius, it's going to go through a rapid lengthening of its tissues. From my experience, it's not uncommon for those Golgi tendon organs to put in some protective tone around that tissue. So as our foot comes through, then, have we got the ability to actually dorsiflex and invert our ankle? So there are going to be some tissues that we're going to be particularly interested in desensitizing. I'm going to show you today a quick, nice exercise to help reassure that. So by the time we get to that top end speed, we've got no hidden jokers in the pack that's going to put excessive stress on that hamstring when we get back. And on another video, I'm going to show you a simple way in the clinic to assess the peroneus tertius so that you can get straight to desensitizing that from day one, so you're not wasting time when you get the athlete back to high level. So with that said, let's get into today's episode. Let's get clarity on some simple ways we can integrate the hamstring and the ankle. So with a lot of athletes, we will usually have an ankle sprain have happened in the past. So they'll have rolled their ankle, probably wouldn't have thought much about it, and they would have just cracked on, so to speak. So what I like to do with hamstrings as well is check and make sure that we've got good ability to dorsiflex and invert that ankle. Okay, so when we actually look at terminal heel or terminal swing, we're going to see that that foot's dorsiflexing, okay, and there will be some bit of inversion there, okay. And then as we come through, obviously, as the foot hits the floor, we're going to start to evert, okay? You know, in the traditional sense, I know everybody can have some slight variations, but for the majority of athletes, what I want to check is, does that athlete have the ability to invert and dorsiflex, okay? And that's going to be important, and that should look familiar to you with all your different neural tests as well, okay? So again, a very important thing that I see with ankles is the peroneus brevis carrying a lot of protective tone still that hasn't been addressed from previous ankle injuries. So again, when that peroneus brevis has to lengthen in this position, if that peroneus brevis can lengthen, what impact is that having on the sciatic nerve, etc., all the different nerves throughout the body, the skin, the fascia, to lengthen in order to help generate tension and direct forces around the body. So a test I would do for Pete is, Pete, I just want you to pull your big toe up to the ceiling for me. Okay, good. And what I'm looking for there, as Pete does that, back down again, Pete, look up to the ceiling again, Pete, or sorry, pull that up to the ceiling for me, keep pulling, is do we see a reaction where there's an inversion of that ankle and an external rotation of the knee? Okay, so when Pete does that, are we seeing kind of everything carrying on? Okay, now with a lot of athletes, now this test isn't very scientific, but it's just something I like to use in the clinic, is with a lot of athletes, when he does that, is Pete won't have the ability to actually do that. Okay, he'll struggle to invert and dorsiflex the foot, because can you see that we have to have quite a bit of lengthening through these tissues. If there's protective tone around peroneus brevis, which we'll cover in the ankle assessment in the coming months, then very often I question whether that's contributing to the ability to generate tension good through terminal swing. Again, anything that could potentially, from Pete's story, that could influence the ability of the hamstring to work well in terminal swing, I want to make sure I address in this rehab program. Okay, so an exercise that I like to do to reshore the system with that is, Pete, all I want you to do is, as you do that, is I'm just going to get Pete to reach with his left hand down to his right big toe. Okay, so Pete, I want you to pull that big toe up to the ceiling as you reach down. Okay, now what I'm going to get Pete to do here is I'm going to get Pete to inhale as he does that. Okay, because when Pete's going to inhale, we're going to relax that pelvic floor tissues a little bit. And again, remember from Dr. Magnus, we're going to just encourage a lengthening of all those tissues. So when we inhale, we know the pelvic floor is to relax. So we can use that to our advantage to help these tissues facilitate what we actually want. So Pete, big toe to the ceiling, and I just want you to inhale as you reach down with your left hand. Good. Now what you might find, or what you might notice here, Pete, perhaps, is you're going to feel that there's a little bit of pressure coming onto the outside of the heel. Okay, so just be aware of that as you reach down. Okay, just bring your awareness to that lateral heel as you reach. Perfect. And then back again. Perfect. And I just get him to do that for about 6 reps. Just inhale as you reach. And again, I'm encouraging a little bit of lengthening through these tissues, but I'm also encouraging lengthening through the hamstring tissues. Okay, so again, I'm decreasing that perceived threat, hopefully. I'm increasing length through the adductor magnus, and I'm also hopefully getting some lengthening through the pelvic floor through an inhale. Now what I don't want Pete to do is inhale like this, hold his breath, and then do it. Okay, as Pete goes down, Pete, as you're going down, I want you to time the inhale, so you use your full inhale by the time you get to there. So slow it down, and then as you come back up, you can exhale. So we can just get him focusing on the breath, bring his awareness to his body, get all this mindfulness into this, so that Pete can have that awareness back through the body. Because a lot of athletes, they're not very good at feeling this or feeling that, and we just need sometimes to just slow everything down and give them back the ability to be mindful of the body and actually have a greater awareness. Okay, and then very often then they can restore control and generate tension very, very easily by decreasing these perceived threats. Okay, so just do that a couple more times, Pete. That's it. Pull that big toe up. Good. And then back again. Good. And again, it's just a nice little exercise, and we can increase it a little bit, Pete, where you're just going to put your right foot slightly forward, and then I want you to do the same thing again. Pull that big toe up to the ceiling. Inhale, reach. That's it. So pulling the big toe up is my cue, and that's going to hopefully get the rest of the reaction through the body. So I'm not working very hard with my cueing here. Just telling Pete, pull that big toe up to the ceiling. Now with an acute injury for Pete, and if it's day 1, day 2, okay, or even day 3, Pete might just go to hair, okay, and he might feel that pulling and that protective tone. That's okay. Use the breath, Pete, to slow that breath down even more as you reach, okay? So by slowing the breath, we're bringing more mindfulness into it. We're hoping to tap in to the mindfulness by dampening down that limbic system. So we're trying to quieten the critical brain, and we're trying to open up the rest of this. So we're trying to dampen down that limbic system and get that cortical part of the brain where his awareness, his conscious awareness, okay, is a little bit better for the breath and for all these tissues. Okay, so inhale slowly, Pete, as you reach. Perfect. And then back again. So again, if that was painful, I just start there, Pete. And what you're going to find tonight, man, as you go home and you do this, is you're going to get a little bit further. And then when Pete comes in the next day, if he does a nice control, then he's smart and intelligent about it, and he's not ragging down and bouncing on it, that we'll find that Pete's going to be able to get down again. So we're taking away that protective tone very, very quickly with these acute injuries. So this is a lengthening exercise, whereas the exercise on the bed was generating tension. Okay, so we were teaching the body that it's safe to contract quickly And now we're teaching the body that it's safe for these tissues to lengthen. Okay, so we've had a shortening and now we've had a lengthening. We've helped that hamstring work under isometric conditions. Now we're helping that hamstring work under eccentric conditions, okay? So two very, very important exercises. Obviously, you can do your Nordics. I think they're well within reason to do Nordics. I think it'd be silly not to do them, but I think there's also, we need to understand and appreciate how that hamstring works. We need to help that hamstring work in the isometric conditions as much as possible as well, okay? And again, I cover all this stuff in the mentorship, but for you as a new grad, I just want you to go in now and I just want you to consider all the different options that you have for your rehab. But again, at the center of my rehab prescription, it's Pete. It's his previous injuries, it's his training load, and I just want to go about restoring, reassuring the ability of all these tissues to lengthen short, to generate torque in as many different directions as possible. Okay, so there you have it. So well worth looking at the person's story, and as we always say in the Go-To Physio mentorship, linking the subjective story to the objective assessment. And it's in this subjective assessment, understanding the patient's story, that you're going to find all of these issues, okay? Now, while most therapists are wasting, weeks or even the first week icing and just doing very, very basic stuff with their athlete with a hamstring, what we're doing is we're starting to build that foundation of cement rather than putting a foundation of sand when the athlete gets back to higher level rehab. So we can undo all of these motor adaptations. We can give the nervous system back an ability to tolerate load in all these tissues while the hamstring's loading. And that's how we can cut off time further down the line, because we have that foundation made of cement, not a foundation made of sand. As always, if you want more information, head over to thegotophysio.com. Check in the description, there'll be links there as well. And I'll see you for the final piece of the hamstring masterclass, where I'm going to show you how to assess these injuries quickly at pitch side. If you ever are at a match and an athlete tears the hamstring, or you think they've torn a hamstring, how to quickly and easily assess it so you can have complete confidence whether to let them continue or whether to take them off. I'll see you next time.